This is the 30 Days to Sell Cars podcast. In this episode, we continue our blitz through the customer acquisition formula with stage 8, lead nurturing. Research shows that most prospects need at least 5 touch points before taking action. So let me show you how to automate the conversation with leads so you can sell more cars almost immediately from your current efforts. This is a show you don't want to miss. Hi, my name is Sean Cassy, and today we are pursuing our journey through the customer acquisition formula with one of the stages that offers the most leverage, lead nurturing. Your ability to follow up with your leads and nurturing them to the point of fruition is what separates the professionals from the amateurs. If you like to use the term game changer, this is one place in the customer acquisition formula where you want to use it. When you think that 50% of sales happen after the 5th follow-up, but the average sales representative will only make 2 attempts to reach prospects, and 44% of them will give up after only 1 follow-up, I call this an opportunity for explosive growth. Now think about it, 92% of salespeople will throw the towel after the 4th call, while 60% of customers will say no 4 times before saying yes to move ahead with the sale. This means you're statistically leaving at least 50% of your sales on the table by not bringing your follow-up game to the next level. Or if you're a glass half full type of person and you prefer a positive spin on the stat, you can increase your sales by 50% just by improving your lead nurturing approach. Now, one of the main reasons why salespeople drop the ball so early on follow-up is because of the dealership's one-size-fits-all approach to follow-up and lead nurturing. Every lead put into the CRM receives the same boring autoresponders, and every lead receives the same uninspiring follow-up phone calls. It's uninteresting for the prospect and tiresome for the reps. But if you've done the action steps in the previous stages, you're head and shoulders above the average dealership's one-size-fits-all approach and should have, at this point, appropriately labeled and tag all your leads so you know 1. If they are conquest or current customers, the traffic source they came from, the tactics that generated their interest, at which stage of the funnel they're at, and finally, the deal status. Armed with this information about each lead, you are now able to create a tailored follow-up and lead nurturing approach for all your prospects. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to create individual one-off follow-up sequence for each lead. That would be very unscalable and would not lead to the customer acquisition machine we are building here together. The reality is that you will find batches of lead with very similar labels and tags, which will allow you to focus on the creation of a few follow-up and lead nurturing sequences that should be perfectly well suited for those similar bundles of prospects. A good place to start is with your tactics tag. Now, this is important. Make a point to have a different follow-up sequence for each of the tactics you are running. The follow-up sequence for ringless voicemail tactics will obviously be very different than one for a direct mail campaign, and the follow-up sequence for a credit event will also be very different than one for a trade-in message, for example. Another reason why dealerships and salespeople fail at the lead nurturing game is that they wing it and improvise instead of doing it with proper preparation and taking the time to create the right scripts and rehearse each step. On the one hand, a dealer might create a well-thought-of email marketing campaign with powerful subject lines and copy, a beautifully designed landing page with a pre-recorded video and lead capture form. And on the other hand, nothing scripted regarding the ideal phone call that should follow up a conversation on the page or the 6 or 7 touch points required to close a sale. Think about it. If you've put so much work in the front of your funnel to capture the lead, why wouldn't you take the time to design the exact experience you would like prospects to grow through once they raised a hand and showed some interest in your offer? You know that more than half of the sales will happen after the 5th attempt. So why wouldn't you want to pre-design a minimum of 6 or 7 pre-written touch points for your sales reps? This way, all they would have to do is to copy-paste the scripts to send the text message and emails, and follow up the scripts to make the phone calls. The pre-written scripts would guarantee that the tone of the conversation is adapted to the tactic the prospect has been triggered by and well suited to the expectations created by the messaging. You could even create in advance some support material like PDF documents or short lead nurturing videos and assemble a collection of relevant articles or useful content that could be sent to prospects to provide them with additional information that could help them make a decision. Most salespeople drop the ball because the only angle they have to follow up with is to beg for the sale. And that, I agree, is uncomfortable. But if you provide them with a variety of pre-assembled pieces of pertinent content they could use in the context of the follow-up sequence, you are improving the chances to see them follow up enough times to close the sale. Your goal is to have enough pre-planned follow-up touchpoints to make sure you're not losing deals to your competitors simply because you or your team have dropped the proverbial ball. But what happens when prospects decide not to buy or to push their buying decision to a moment further in time? That's when your lead nurturing efforts should go from following up to lead farming. Look, if the prospect has indicated his or her decision to purchase at a later date, then traditional sales follow-up will only create tension in the relationship you're trying to build. A better plan is to place these prospects in a lead farming loop where you would continue to provide them with valuable content regarding their future purchase, but instead of trying to close them with each touch point, you will embed a subtle call to action that will trigger back in motion the sales follow-up sequence if the prospect chooses so. This way, the lead farming content will keep you and your dealership top of mind during this time of limbo. The content will reinforce your position as the automotive authority in the marketplace, and the prospect will always be only one click away from letting you know they are ready to reignite the sales conversation. Imagine these prospects as part of a massive garden in which you're carefully working the ground, planting seeds, and growing sales so they can naturally and organically feed your sales pipeline as they mature and the opportunities ripen. While most dealerships and automotive sales professionals will have to rely only on prospecting to get fresh leads every month, your prospecting efforts will be consistently supplemented by a daily dose of well-grown and ready-to-buy leads who are already comfortable with you and your organization. Just make sure you don't bombard your lead farming subscribers with constant promotional offers, or you will lose tons of people to unsubscribes. A good balance is to curate or produce 9 pieces of useful, relevant content for each piece of promotional content you serve the people in your farming group. Keep in mind that your farming efforts should not only occur as part of your email communications, but should be consistent across all social media channels. Now, this is important. Make sure to get the prospects who decide to push their buying decisions to a moment later in time to provide you with a tentative date where they might reconsider their buying decision. This information will provide you with the ability to bypass your lead farming efforts at a strategic point in time to make sure no opportunities fall through the cracks. Just make sure to create a task in your CRM to remind you so you don't rely on your memory to execute. The lead farming stratagem we just discussed should also apply to all prospects who have subscribed to your marketing but didn't get identified as the qualified buyer. It should also apply to all customers who have previously purchased from you if you want to secure future sales. Ideally, you should have a separate introduction sequence to your lead farming group for each of the previous segments, since one didn't get to experience your awesome sales experience yet, and the other one is in a holding pattern enjoying their current vehicle waiting for the next opportunity to upgrade. For new and current customers, a single welcome email will do the work before introducing them to your farming group. For marketing subscribers, I recommend a 7-step email indoctrination sequence where you will provide these leads with the reasons why they should choose you and your dealership for their next vehicle purchase. Now, this is important. The ideal indoctrination sequence will avoid talking about incentives and promotions. If they haven't raised a hand as a qualified buyer, they are probably not yet ready to buy now or might be too far left on the awareness traffic heat spectrum. Instead, go back to your buyer personas and build a copy of your emails to focus on their pains, their desires, and how your core beliefs are well aligned with theirs. Use each email to make sure these prospects are moving on the traffic heat spectrum from problem aware to solution aware to product aware, and to most aware regarding your brand and dealership. Once the 7-day indoctrination sequence is over, if they haven't raised a hand on any of your call to action offers to trigger the sales follow-up, switch these prospects to your lead farming group and let them experience how awesome it is to be part of the family. Remember, you should have one lead farming group in which all prospects and customers end up to nurture future sales, with 2 separate introduction sequences for customers and marketing subscribers. By avoiding the one-size-fits-all approach most dealerships are using and providing the leads in your pipeline with a tailored lead nurturing experience, you will see your appointment to lead ratio blow up, which is the subject of the next stage of the customer acquisition formula. Now, here are your action steps. First, I want you to develop a specific follow-up sequence, including a minimum of 7 pre-written emails, SMS, and phone scripts for each of the tactics you are running. Then create a lead farming group to which you will provide relevant information that can benefit their current vehicle ownership experience, keep you and your dealership top of mind, and that will reinforce your position as the automotive authority in the marketplace. Then I want you to develop a 7-step email indoctrination sequence to farm the leads who have not been identified as qualified buyers. Go back to your buyer personas and build your copy on the pains and desires while moving them from left to right on the awareness and traffic heat spectrum. Develop a welcome email for your customers explaining the content they will be receiving from you as a subscriber to your dealership's newsletter. And finally, develop a process by which every lead who will fall off your follow-up sequence, who will complete the 7-step marketing subscriber indoctrination sequence, or receive the customer welcome email will be added to your farming group. Now, here's my book recommendation for this stage. One of the best small books available on using automated lead nurturing sequences is the book Invisible Selling Machines by Ryan Deiss. The book will walk you through all 5 phases of the prospect and consumer lifestyle and show how each point of contact can be automated and perpetuated to help you convert strangers into friends, friends into customers, and customers into raving fans. You'll love the book. You can read it in a few hours, maybe at the most a weekend, and it will provide you tons of information on how to write your indoctrination sequence. Now here's the quick recap to this section. Do you agree that a tailored approach to lead nurturing and ongoing processes to lead farming can help you generate more quality appointments and more deals from your tactics? Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode and that you will be back for more great automotive content to help you build your automotive customer acquisition machine. If you did, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify so you don't miss the next episodes. Make sure also to leave me a few comments on the content I shared with you today. I'm curious to get your feedback on how you're planning to execute on the lead nurturing and lead farming strategies I shared with you today so you can sell more cars. In the next episode, we will get into stage 9 of the customer acquisition formula and talk about appointment scheduling. If the follow-up and lead nurturing stage can be defined as the game changer step in the customer acquisition formula, appointment scheduling is its controversial brother, so you're not going to want to miss the next episode. Until then, I wish you a great week. Remember that we only have 30 days to sell cars when the month starts, and we probably have less than that if you look at your calendar right now. So, like I love to say, let's sell some cars.